Discover the surprising connection. A lonely CEO's amazing craving for a mother for his daughter. Ethan Carter sat in his glass-encased office, overlooking the pulsating life of Silicon Valley. The waves of energy flowing through the bustling landscape below felt foreign to him, a stark contrast to the cavernous loneliness enveloping his heart. An empire built on innovation and ambition thrummed through his veins, yet as he gazed out, he only felt the weight of responsibility. Ava, his 8-year-old daughter, burst through the door, her laughter echoing against the sterile glass and steel, momentarily chasing the shadows away. But the smile that graced his lips felt like a fragile veneer masking the deeper ache beneath. That he poured himself into his work, the incessant hum of conference calls and board meetings providing an escape from his solitude. His colleagues, though outwardly supportive, whispered their doubts. Questions of Ava's upbringing in a world devoid of maternal warmth swirled around him like a storm. Could he really be enough for her when the echoes of her mother's absence haunted their home? A wave of anxiety gripped him. If he faltered, if he broke under the weight, would it shatter her fragile happiness? Amidst the chaos of his corporate life, Laura appeared, introduced by a mentor who had seen the fostering of a promising connection. Their discussions about ambition and parenthood opened a door to Ethan's heart that had remained locked since the day he lost his wife. In Laura, he saw glimpses of a warmth that could fill the void, a maternal presence that might offer Ava what she so desperately craved. Yet, as the days passed, his emotions twisted into a convoluted knot. Every smile shared came with a wave of guilt, a reminder of the love he once cherished but could never reclaim. Before those emotions fully matured, a seismic scandal erupted, threatening the very foundation of his company. News of corporate betrayal spread like wildfire, pulling Ethan into its suffocating grasp. He felt torn, manipulating his energy to navigate the corporate battlefield while simultaneously wanting to protect Ava from yet another tumultuous upheaval. The tension in his chest tightened with each passing hour. Should he prioritize the empire he built or the emotional nexus that was his daughter? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As he faced the snarling chaos, he felt a twist in his gut when he discovered Laura's unexpected connection to his late wife. The threads of their histories intertwined in a way that left him reeling. What did this mean for them? The prospect of love was engulfed by a tangled web of duty and memory. Could he invite her into their lives knowing her connection to the past? Doubt clawed at his resolve, whispering fears he couldn't silence. Caught in the relentless tide of ambition, grief, and looming decisions, Ethan stood on the precipice of a choice. Would he find the courage to carve a new path for Ava, filled with the love and nurturing he couldn't provide? Or would the legacy of his lost love and fading success drown out the stirrings of a hopeful future? He felt the stakes rise, the overwhelming urge to protect all he held dear battling against the haunting specter of loneliness that draped over him. The next morning, Ethan awoke to the persistent buzz of his phone, but the notifications felt distant compared to the chaos churning within him. Laura's name flashed across the screen, an unexpected invitation for coffee. It felt oddly comforting yet filled with trepidation. As he reluctantly prepared for the day, the duality of his life weighed heavily on him. The public persona of a decisive CEO, contrasted painfully with the private uncertainty of a grieving father. He arrived at the cafe, its warm atmosphere and inviting smells a jarring contrast to his cold reality. Coffee steam curled into the air like the echoes of memories that had never left him. As Laura entered, her smile sparked a flicker of light in his otherwise shadowed world. But as she sat down, a bite of unease crept in. What if the revelations of their intertwined pasts were too great to overcome? Could she ever truly replace the loss he bore? "Thanks for meeting me," Laura said, her voice steady and warm. As they exchanged pleasantries, he studied her closely. The same warmth that drew him to her now also heightened his anxiety. He felt acutely aware of every moment, every gesture, feeling the weight of possibility. Yet, he needed clarity. About yesterday, he began, each word feeling like stepping onto a tightrope. When I found out you knew my wife, I didn't know how to react. Laura's expression shifted, a shadow of understanding passed over her. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought this could just be our new beginning together. But I understand if it's too complicated. The tension stretched between them, suffocating yet electrifying. Ethan grappled with an embarrassing swell of hope mixed with the crippling weight of responsibility. Was this new connection a chance for happiness, or a path strewn with more pain? Complicated is my middle name, he replied, a weak attempt at humor. A pause filled with unspoken words hung in the air, a crucible where future decisions would melt and reshape. Ava, she doesn't have a mother in her life, and I fear introducing something new could only make things worse. What if it just confuses her? Or worse, what if it doesn't work out and I end up hurting both of you? Laura leaned in, her eyes earnest as she spoke. Ethan, you can't shield Ava from relationships. She deserves to know that love exists outside of grief. You need to find a way to lead her toward happiness, even if it's scary. And I want to share that path with you. Doubt gnawed at his mind, each thought a sharp blade slicing through the fog of his intentions. Exploring this connection might allow Ava a different experience. But what of the risks involved? Could he balance moving forward without abandoning the memories of the past? The moral labyrinth before him was terrifying, and the days that followed, he could not escape the internal battle. On one hand, the whispers of his colleagues echoed ominously. On the other, the glimmer of hope Laura ignited in his heart pushed him to contemplate possibilities beyond mere survival. He could forge a new life, but at what cost? While he wrestled with this, a fierce crunch of news headlines about his company's looming scandal demanded his attention. He felt the walls of his world closing in, suffocating him as decisions spiraled into extremes. He stood by the window, rain streaking the glass like lines on a page, a window into clarity. As he contemplated the storms in his heart, a radical thought bloomed. What if the answers lay not only in sacrifice and duty but also in risk and bold love? The lingering past felt trapped, and for the first time, he considered that perhaps letting Laura in might free not just him, but Ava as well. But before he could embrace this potential shift, the phone call he received shattered his moment of clarity. The board needed him urgently. And as he raced against time to stabilize his company, doubts clawed at him. Would he be brave enough to face his feelings for Laura? Or would he get lost in the whirlwind of corporate crisis, miss the opportunity to reclaim his heart, and irrevocably alter Ava's future? Ethan stepped into the polished glass elevator, the weight of his recent decisions pressing heavily on his shoulders. The digital numbers flickered past as he descended, but his mind remained in turmoil. The day ahead was insistent and loaded with the expectations of his board, and yet, within him, a current of self-doubt surged. Was he truly ready to navigate the tumultuous waters of his professional life while also confronting the complexities of his personal feelings for Laura? The ding of the elevator signaled his arrival. He took a steadying breath before stepping into the conference room, where the atmosphere buzzed with apprehension. Faces transformed from tense to neutral as he entered, each member awaiting his cue to lead. Ethan had always thrived in these moments, boasting confidence and clarity, but today felt different. The stakes now transcended work. They intertwined with his heart and family. Ethan, his right-hand man, Mark, began, his animated hand gestures accentuating his urgency. We've analyzed the fallout from the report. If we don't respond decisively, our stock could plunge. We need a solid strategy, some damage control. Ethan nodded, a tight smile masking his inner chaos. The chaos that felt all-consuming drove him to compartmentalize. He took a moment to assess the team, each face reflecting a mixture of hope and anxiety as they awaited his direction. They depended on him, much like Ava depended on his decisions for her comfort and well-being. As discussions unfolded, Ethan's mind drifted. He questioned whether avoiding his feelings for Laura would ultimately hurt both her and Ava. If he pursued a genuine connection with Laura, would it dismantle the stability of his existing world? Or could it forge a resilient bridge from past sorrow to future joy? Ethan. Mark's voice cut through his reverie. What's the move? Redirection came swiftly. We need to issue a public statement addressing the allegations. Transparency will reassure our stakeholders. Let us not allow speculation to dictate our narrative. Ethan's voice rang with newfound authority as he outlined the plan, falling back on his natural instincts to navigate through corporate storm clouds. Yet, a nagging thought pierced through. Was he simply avoiding deeper truths? The meeting wrapped up, but Ethan felt a widening chasm within. The board members began to file out, but he remained seated, staring at the strategy papers before him. He could visualize a scenario where Laura was integrated into their lives seamlessly. The fierce mother-daughter bond was a pale ghost, waiting to manifest. That prospect shimmered oddly with potential amidst all the chaos. Finally, he gathered himself and headed toward his office. The walls diverged. It was now a haven where he could wrestle with his internal dilemmas in solitude. He poured a cup of coffee, the rich aroma momentarily distracting him from his tangled thoughts. Leaning against the cool countertop, he replayed Laura's words, "You need to find a way to lead her toward happiness, even if it's scary." Moral conflict intruded once more. Was he sacrificing Ava's happiness by hesitating? Or was he merely protecting her from the unpredictability of adult emotions? In that space of reflection, a sharp realization crystallized. His role was not just a leader in business, it was also as a father who needed to embrace risks for the sake of love. Suddenly, the phone rang. The caller ID lit up with Laura's name, each ring resonating like a heartbeat against the quiet of his office. Anxiety twisted in his stomach, mixing with a thread of exhilaration. This could be pivotal, an opportunity to lay bare his fears, aspirations, and maybe even a flicker of hope. Ethan picked up, drawing in a deep breath. "Laura," he said, the resolute tone surprising even himself. "We need to talk." As the conversation progressed, he felt an urgency unspooling within him. Confessions lay ahead, reflections of hidden desires primed to surface. Would he finally summon the courage to face the implications of letting her into his life? Or would he falter under the weight of responsibility, losing both love and family in the process? The stakes had never felt higher, and he was poised at the edge of a precipice, ready to leap into the uncertainty that awaited him. Ethan paced the confines of his office, the phone pressed tightly to his ear, each word from Laura pulling him deeper into a chasm of vulnerability. Her voice flowed with an unexpected tenderness, weaving through his defenses and exposing his uncertainties. "I've been thinking about what you said, about Ava," Laura began, her tone a blend of curiosity and concern. "You're balancing a lot right now. Are you all right?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. He hesitated, contemplating the weight of his truth. Admitting his internal struggles felt like stripping down before her, leaving him exposed and raw. Yet, in that moment, he realized the power of authenticity. "I'm trying to navigate everything, the company, Ava, and us," he managed, feeling the tension seep from his words. Laura quieted, allowing a silence filled with unspoken understanding to settle. With each passing second, Ethan felt the walls of his compartmentalized life beginning to crack. What if being open to her diminished the rigid control he had exercised over his life? But then, another part of him argued, what if it allowed him to reclaim missing pieces he didn't even know were lost? "I think it's important for you to also take care of yourself," Laura responded softly, her compassion a lifeline. "You can't pour from an empty cup. Maybe we both need to examine what we truly want moving forward." Her sentiment struck a nerve, and for the first time, Ethan realized how desperately he craved genuine connection, a reprieve from the isolation that success had bred. The facade he wore as a CEO provided protection but also isolation, creating a life defined by duties rather than desire. He could envision a life where vulnerability coexisted with strength, where he could embrace complications rather than navigate around them. Yet, the prospect of facing the unknown terrified him. "Laura, I want to bring you and Ava together." "I truly do," he confessed. But I need to ensure that it won't disrupt Ava's world. Ethan, her voice softened, you can't micromanage everything. Ava knows more than we give her credit for. If we're honest with her about our intentions, she might just surprise us. Her words resonated, stirring something within him. Maybe the path forward wasn't about avoiding risks but about confronting the uncertainties of heart and family. He envisioned attending activities together, creating shared memories and building a life that included laughter and love. The vivacity of a new family dynamic replaced his fears, filling the void within. I want to talk to Ava too, he said, feeling a newfound resolve. I want to explain my intentions. We can figure it out together. Silence followed again, but this time it felt charged with potential. In that moment, Ethan understood he was standing on the precipice of significant transformation that stretched beyond boardroom meetings and crisis management. It was about reframing his identity not just as a CEO defined by achievements and expectations, but as a man capable of vulnerability, committed to building meaningful relationships. The conversation meandered towards casual updates, but the emotional landscape had shifted irrevocably. Each shared laugh and subtle exchange underscored a growing intimacy that gnawed at Ethan's apprehensions. Yet, in the back of his mind, questions lingered. How would Ava react? Would she embrace this change, or would it trigger her insecurities? As he hung up, energy pulsed through him. He felt lighter, yet the gravity of his next steps bore down. He needed to confront Ava armed with openness, guiding her through the unfamiliar territory of his intentions. This would be no small task. Ethan looked out of his office window, the city sprawling below him, vibrant and alive. The metaphor wasn't lost. Life was messy, unpredictable, and filled with both peril and opportunity. This was the moment he had to seize. Tomorrow, he said to himself, determination brewing in his chest. Draped in resolve, he knew there would be no easy route. The risk of emotional exposure lay ahead, and with it, the possibility of profound connection. But could he finally embrace the love he longed for without sacrificing the harmony that Ava cherished? It was a question that lingered as he prepared for a conversation that had the power to reshape their lives forever. Ethan fell into a restless sleep that night, every creak of the old apartment echoing his racing thoughts. The clock ticked relentlessly, each passing second a reminder of the conversation awaiting him. Morning brought clarity yet short-lived comfort. He brewed coffee, its rich scent attempting to ground him amidst the whirlwind of his internal landscape. Today was pivotal. It could open doors or close them forever. As he drove to Ava's school, he wrestled with the script his mind had drafted. Would he present this as a change? An introduction? Or would he risk scaring her with the notion of merging his life with Laura's? The car moved through the city, a steady flow mimicking his pulse. There was no turning back. Upon arrival, the cheerful chaos of children darting across the playground greeted him. Ethan's heart fluttered at the sight of Ava, her laughter like a balm soothing his anxieties, yet it also reminded him of what was at stake. He stepped out of the car with a newfound commitment, his breath hitching at the thought of her potential reaction. Ava! He called, waving his hand. She turned, her face lighting up, and ran to him, her joy enveloping him like a warm blanket. Dad! You're here early! She exclaimed, her face aglow with delight. Actually, I have something important to talk to you about, he said, kneeling to her level. The weight of his intention felt heavier now, almost suffocating. Okay. She bounced on her feet, eyes sparkling with curiosity. Ethan paused, biting back the wave of apprehension. You know how I've been talking about Laura? Ava's expression shifted slightly, curiosity giving way to contemplation, as if she were mentally processing every word. Yeah, the lady you like. Yes, exactly, he managed, steeling himself against the unexpected surge of protectiveness over her emotions. I want to tell you more about her. I want to make sure you're comfortable with me spending time with her. Is she nice? Ava asked innocently, the edges of her innocence tugging at him. She's very nice, he assured her, feeling an odd sense of pride. And I think you'd really like her. She has a daughter, too. Ava's brow furrowed momentarily as she considered this revelation. What about me? Will I have to share you? The innocence in that question struck him, unfurling the tight knot in his gut. You won't have to share me, he said, quickening to reassure her. I will always be your dad. This doesn't change that. Her gaze lifted, piercing through the layers of his resolve. Can I meet her? Her enthusiasm shocked him, and for a moment, he was speechless. Was this willingness an indication of her innate strength? Or did she sense his uncertainty? If you're open to it, yes, he replied slowly, gauging her face for signs of fear or rejection. A small smile emerged, hinting at a shift in her spirit. Okay. Ethan's heart soared, filling the space where his anxieties had lurked only moments before. But then came the wave of reality crashing back. The storm of emotions lurking in both their hearts was far from quelled. He needed to weave Laura and Ava together sensitively. What if Laura and I have coffee together first? Just us adult types? He suggested. Then she can meet you next. Ava nodded, a silent agreement sealing what could potentially transform both of their worlds. But as relief flooded in, he felt the shadows of doubt creep back. Would the blend of their lives truly harmonize as he hoped? The bell rang, piercing the lingering moment, calling children back. He watched Ava sprint off to join her friends, a stunning image of happiness and ease. His determination hadn't faltered, but questions loomed larger. Was he truly ready for this leap, and could he nurture a relationship with Laura while ensuring Ava's security? Tomorrow would unfold more unanswered layers as he sought to integrate two precious parts of his life. Just then, he remembered the conversation with Laura, still vivid in his mind. What would she think of his decision to bring Ava into this, just moments after voicing their concerns? The road ahead narrowed, filled with uncertainty and possibility, and yet he sensed he was finally finding the courage to face the chaos that love and connection often stirred. As he turned to leave the school, the weight of his path ahead settled heavy on his shoulders. A crossroad of emotional risk lay before him, and he understood that he was standing on the brink of something profound. Would he grasp the opportunities that lay ahead? Or would he retreat, clinging to his safe but lonely existence and risk losing both love and the chance for a family? The choices made in the coming days would deliver more than just answers, they would carve the future he envisioned. Ethan's mind buzzed as he stepped into the cafe the next morning. The bittersweet scent of fresh brewed coffee hung in the air, mingling with a rush of anticipation and anxiety. Today, he would meet Laura. The gravity of this moment pressed heavily on him. It felt as if his heart beat in time with the cafe's soft, ambient music. Sitting at a small corner table, he adjusted his posture, forcing himself to appear confident. As he waited, he thought about the delicate balance he was trying to create, not just between Laura and himself, but between Laura and Ava. How could he best present this new dynamic without overwhelming either of them? Thoughts of his daughter stood out like a lighthouse guiding him through choppy waters. What did she need? What could he teach her about love, resilience, and the courage to embrace change? It was shocking how quickly his thoughts shifted from anxious apprehension about his relationship with Laura to reflection on the role he played in Ava's emotional landscape. When Laura walked in, Ethan's breath caught. She wore a radiant smile accentuated by a casual yet elegant choice of attire, a soft blue dress that brought warmth to her features. As their eyes met, he felt both the tug of attraction and the weight of responsibility. "Ethan," she said, her voice soft but steady as she approached. His stomach twisted, a sensation he couldn't quite label. Nervousness? Excitement? "Hey, Laura. You look great," he managed, shamefully aware of how long it took him to muster that compliment. "Thanks. You too," she replied, her gaze flitting to the coffee menu. After the initial pleasantries, both of them quietly fell into a routine of ordering and settling into their seats, the ambience of the cafe acting as a comforting backdrop to the quiet storm brewing beneath the surface of their conversation. "Are you ready?" he finally asked, breaking the almost suffocating silence that had formed. "Ready for what?" she challenged with a slight raised eyebrow. "To talk about Us, he offered carefully, mindful of the waves of emotion that had swelled during their last conversation. What is it you want? Ethan frowned, realizing their perspectives stood at odds. Laura's straightforwardness both unsettled him and fascinated him. I want to understand how we fit into each other's lives. I want to introduce you to Ava. But I also want to know if this is worth pursuing for both of us. Laura leaned back, her expression steady, almost contemplative. That's a huge step. I can't go through another heartbreak if this doesn't play out. Her vulnerability clawed at him. How could he reassure her while also chasing after the connections he yearned to create with both her and Ava? I understand that completely. I don't want to rush anything either. But what if we at least take a step? Maybe start with having fun together, getting to know each other before this becomes anything serious? That sounds fair, she conceded, though her voice trembled slightly. It struck him that she was wrestling with her own concerns, uncertainty mingled with her desire for connection. Ethan leaned forward, eyes locking with hers in silent determination. There's something else I need to share. Laura's gaze anchored his resolve, and he pushed through. Ava is excited to meet you, but I need to make sure she feels secure in this. I won't take any choices lightly, and I hope you can respect that. Ethan, she interjected, her tone shifting from curiosity to resolve, I'm all about that. But I need to be clear, Ava is just as important in this equation. Her statement sent a ripple of affirmation through him. This was the collaboration he had hoped for. She is. And I'll protect her heart above all else. The complexities of their discussion spun neatly around him. Each word carved out a deeper purpose for their encounter. As they began to shift the conversation to lighter topics, Ethan felt a spark of hope. The connection seemed to beckon something deeper, a newfound understanding. But with each laugh they shared, the underlying tension lingered, a reminder of the risks ahead. When the conversation waned, and their cups lay empty, Ethan questioned whether they had come far enough to embrace what lay ahead. Would their connection withstand the potential tumult of blending their lives? Leaving the cafe, he could feel a profound shift. He was no longer just a dad weighed down by uncertainty, but a man daring to carve out a life richer than solitude. Yet the echoes of doubt remained. He had yet to introduce Laura to Ava, and that step would be loaded with implications. As he walked to his car, the pressing question returned: would this turn of events lead him into the family life he craved, or was he spiraling toward another attempt that might fracture the fragile state of their intertwined lives? The prospect of impending choices loomed large, each moment now a decision point teetering on the edge of hope and fear. Tomorrow awaited, and with it, another confrontation with Ava, with himself. Would he be able to weave these lives together, or find himself at odds with the desires and fears shaping this new chapter? The morning light cast a soft glow across the living room as Ethan paced, his mind spinning with the prospect of introducing Laura to Ava. He had always prided himself on being a steady presence in his daughter's life, but now, uncertainty gnawed at him. Would this new woman, this fresh connection, disrupt the rhythm they had built together? The thought felt like a storm brewing beneath a serene sky. Ava emerged from her room, tousled hair and sleep-laden eyes instantly softening Ethan's resolve. "Dad, what's for breakfast?" she asked, her relaxed demeanor reminding him of the uncomplicated joy of parenthood. "Pancakes, your favorite," he replied, attempting to inject enthusiasm into his voice. As he flipped the first round of batter, he turned the conversation toward a riskier topic. "Hey, so, I was thinking, how would you feel about meeting someone special?" She squinted, suspicion quickly replacing the innocence of her youth. "Special? Like another date?" Her tone held the weight of recent memories. Ethan felt a wince of guilt. His past decisions haunted him. How could he ask her to embrace change when he had been the one to shake their foundations? "Not just a date. Her name is Laura. We had coffee together yesterday, and I think you'd like her." Ava crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing as if evaluating a proposition. "What if I don't want to? What if she's just some random lady?" Each word dripped with teenager skepticism, born from his previous attempts at romance. His heart sank, grappling with the inevitable pushback. That's fair. But I care about her, and I think it could be nice for us to spend time together. Laura's different. She understand what? That you're trying to fix your life without talking to me. Her frustration was palpable, laced with a betrayal he hadn't anticipated. Ethan let the batter sizzle in silence. His own emotions churned as he realized how the very act of introducing Laura could be juxtaposed against Ava's need for stability. The harshness painted a vivid picture. His bridge toward a new life could also be a barrier for Ava's innocence. I get it. You're scared, and so am I. But I promise that meeting her doesn't change us. His voice was raw, revealing a tenderness he hoped would resonate with her. Just promise she's not going to pretend to be my mom. The weight of her request pounded in his chest, a reminder that some facets of his heart were still tethered to the past. Ava, I can't promise anything will happen. What I can say is that Laura wants to know you, and I want you to be part of whatever this is. Silence enveloped them, a fragile truce hanging in the air. The pancakes lay untouched as both awaited the other's response, the clatter of kitchen utensils echoing their unspoken thoughts. Eventually, Ava sighed, resignation softening her features. Fine. But if it gets weird, I'm out. Relief washed over Ethan, yet anxiety bubbled beneath. This small step had transformed into a monumental leap. The stakes felt high. Introducing Laura was one thing, but building trust would be another. Would this connection fracture the remnants of his family dynamic or strengthen it? As he finished breakfast, a renewed determination fueled his actions. He resolved to have the hard conversations with Ava and, in turn, gather the courage to face Laura again. But deep within him, the shadow of doubt lingered like a distant storm cloud. Would the connection between them flourish, or would past mistakes lay waste to their futures? Later that evening, as they sat together with pancakes gone cold in front of them, Ethan's phone buzzed with a message from Laura. How about lunch tomorrow? It felt deceptively simple, just a gathering that could tilt his carefully balanced world. Taking a deep breath, Ethan replied, sealing a pact woven together with threads of hope, anxiety, and cautious optimism. But as he stared at the screen, another thought flickered through the undercurrents of his mind. What would happen if Ava decided she didn't want any of this at all? Tomorrow beckoned with the promise of connection but also the weight of potential rejection. Each moment would demand a choice, and at the end of it, he had to wonder, could he truly stand firm against the storm on the horizon? Ethan woke the next day with a mixture of anticipation and dread knotting his stomach. The memory of his conversation with Ava replayed like a broken record. He knew the introduction to Laura could pivot their lives in unexpected ways. As he prepared himself for the lunch, he thought of his daughter's words, the bittersweet weight they carried. Her refusal to welcome change echoed louder than he expected, but he understood the fear fueling it. That he picked at his breakfast, unable to focus. Instead, he envisioned the possibilities. Laura's kindness and warmth had already sparked something within him, a slowly igniting flame that contended with the cold shadow of his past. Yet, how would Ava react to her? Would she see Laura as someone there for them, or merely another face vying for her deceased mother's place? The clock ticked toward their meeting time, each second amplifying his anxiety. He considered how he could facilitate a bond between Laura and Ava. His mind filled with strategies: keep the conversation light, find common ground, perhaps even lean on shared interests. But would that be enough? What if his attempts to bridge this connection only pushed Ava further away? Ava had chosen to spend her morning in her room, a sanctuary where she likely shielded herself from the outside world. He knocked lightly, calling out, "Ava, it's almost time to go. Are you ready?" 5 more minutes. She shouted back, her voice muffled by the door, laden with the unmistakable teenage defiance. Yet there was an underlying hint of apprehension, matching his own. He wondered if she was concocting her exit strategy should things turn too uncomfortable. "Do you think you're ready to meet Laura?" Ethan asked, leaning against the doorframe, his heart drumming loudly against his chest. "I guess so," she replied with a hint of resignation, but he could feel the hesitation in her tone. This wasn't just about him. They were both navigating uncharted territory, when they finally arrived at the cafe, Ethan spotted Laura at a table by the window, her smile cutting through his apprehensions. She waved, filling the space with an inviting warmth that felt nurturing, a contrast to his cold fear of inadequacy as a father. He exchanged a glance with Ava, noticing she had already donned her skeptical mask. As they approached the table, he felt as though time slowed. The atmosphere felt thick, each heartbeat echoing his own uncertainty. "Laura, this is my daughter, Ava," he introduced, his voice steady but revealing hints of anxiety. Laura's demeanor shifted seamlessly into something softer, her voice gentle yet engaging. "Hi, Ava. It's so nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you." Ava's reaction was guarded, her eyes darted between him and Laura, studying this new presence. "Yeah, like what?" she replied, arms still crossed, a wall waiting to be dismantled. Ethan was caught between the urge to defend Laura and the desire to allow her to navigate the moment on her own. The instinct to protect his daughter battled with the necessity of allowing new relationships to bloom. "Just that you're an amazing student and a great artist," he interjected lightly, trying to lift the mood. Laura nodded enthusiastically. "I'd love to see your artwork sometime. I'm really big on art." Ava's eyebrows raised slightly, curiosity momentarily eclipsing caution. "Oh. What do you do?" In that moment, Ethan watched Ava's curiosity unlock a small crack in her defenses. Just maybe, Laura's authentic interest in Ava could create a bridge. As the conversation unfolded, Ethan found himself stepping back, observing this potential connection bloom. But alongside his hopeful optimism, anxiety gnawed at him. Was it possible that even within this pleasant exchange, Ava struggled internally with her acceptance? Then, as they chatted, the inevitable question loomed large in his mind. What was he willing to sacrifice for this new chance at happiness? How much could he push Ava without losing her trust? Suddenly, Ava's gaze shifted, her expression morphing into confusion. "So, does this mean you're dating my dad?" She pierced through the light-hearted air, her voice direct, challenging the tension that had lingered. Ethan's heart raced, the implications of those words wedged between them like a boulder. What would happen next? Would Laura respond with grace, or would she falter under the pressure of Ava's scrutiny? As the atmosphere thickened, Ethan braced himself for the response. He recognized that this moment revealed the delicate balance of their interactions and tested the very foundation of their evolving lives. As all eyes turned to Laura, he could feel the air shift. A moment of reckoning was at hand. Would they be able to move through this unexpected confrontation together, or had he set off a chain reaction that would spiral out of control? Ethan held his breath, waiting for Laura's reaction. He could see the slightest flinch, a momentary flicker of uncertainty before her professional demeanor reasserted itself. This was a pivotal moment, one that could either break or strengthen the fragile trust he hoped to build between these two important women in his life. Laura South's smile remained in place, though there was now more intention behind it. "Yes, Ava, your dad and I have been getting to know each other better," she said, her tone light yet assertive, as if bandaging a wound that had just been opened. "But it's all very new, and we're taking our time, aren't we, Ethan?" The way she looked at him felt almost magnetic, providing a momentary anchor amid the uncertainty. "Yeah, exactly," he affirmed quickly, grasping the lifebuoy she tossed his way. "I'd like for you both to be comfortable, so if you have questions or anything you want to talk about." He trailed off, instinctively trying to gauge Ava's reaction. Ava was still processing, her brows knitted in confusion or perhaps disapproval. "Taking your time? You mean like how long it takes to get over someone?" Her voice had turned sharper, the skepticism reinvigorated. Ethan swallowed hard, her perspective was valid, and he didn't want to dismiss it. "Ava, this isn't the same as just getting over someone," he replied evenly, his eyes locking onto hers. "I care about you, and I want you to be honest with me. If you're uncomfortable, we will talk about it." Laura didn't shy away from the moment either. "It's totally normal to feel uncertain about these changes," she said, her voice warm, yet firm. "But I promise I'm here for you, too. I have an open door." Ethan admired Laura's resolve. She was trying to create space for Ava, inviting her into the conversation instead of letting it remain a stifled encounter. He hoped it would work. Perhaps if he could foster an open dialogue, they could navigate through the other uncomfortable layers that lay underneath. Why would you want to have an open door to someone who could take my mom's place? Ava countered, her vulnerability creeping into her voice. It was raw, loaded with the grief of loss. His heart sank at how tightly Ava was grasping onto her past. He felt a surge of determination. There was no way he would let this moment of honesty slip through his fingers. Because no one could ever take your mom's place, Ava. This is different, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't find happiness again. It doesn't mean that I don't love you or that I'll forget about her. Ethan tried to sound resolute, though doubt wrestled within him. Was he championing her feelings too heavy-handedly? Or was he simply voicing what needed to be said? Silence filled the air, thick and palpable, and he could see the internal battle waging in his daughter's eyes. This wasn't just about introducing Laura into their lives, this was about navigating grief, acknowledging new beginnings, and untangling complex emotions that could change their family dynamic forever. Laura carefully broke the silence. What if we started this journey as friends first? Getting to know each other without any expectations? Her tone was encouraging, inviting Ava to chip away at her defenses. Ethan felt a small flicker of hope at the prospect of building something new. I'd like that, he added, finally taking direct eye contact with Ava, silently pleading for her approval. We can figure this out, step by step. Ava relaxed the rigid posture that had enveloped her since their arrival, her arms dropping to her sides though skepticism still danced in her expression. I guess I can try, she said slowly. But only if you two are honest with me. Ethan nodded, understanding the stakes. We will be, I promise. As the conversation began to wander into lighter topics, Ethan marveled at how they had just crossed a bridge, however shaky. He realized that fostering trust would demand patience, vulnerability, and a willingness to confront hard truths. It was unsettling, yet invigorating, but in the back of his mind remained the gnawing question, were they on the right path, or had he initiated a slippery slope that might pull Ava deeper into resentment? Just as he settled into the warmth of the moment, he saw Laura gracefully reach for her drink. So, Ava, I'd love to hear about your art. What inspires you? Ethan caught a glimpse of hope flicker in Ava's expression, an avenue opening to allow her talents to shine, perhaps leading to newfound connection. Would that be enough to forge a lasting bond? Or would the shadows of memory keep haunting their progress? As he observed, he could feel change on the horizon, but the question remained. How would they navigate it? Days melted into weeks, and the journey between Ethan, Ava, and Laura continued to evolve. The introduction had woven a delicate tapestry of hope, neither perfect nor without its frays. Yet, it was handleable, a true testament to the work they'd done together. With each meeting, the trio ventured into laughter, discomfort, and compromise, paving the way for unforeseen connections. Ethan immersed himself in the everyday joys of fatherhood, reconnecting with Ava while integrating Laura into their routine. Saturday mornings turned into art sessions, fueled by cinnamon rolls and paint, offering a safe haven for candid conversations. Ethan monitored their chemistry closely, encouraging both women to explore their relationship at a pace comfortable for them. Ava began to see Laura not as a shadow eclipsing her mother's memory but rather as a partner in shared creativity and discovery. On a particularly bright Saturday, Ethan watched as Laura guided Ava on a new painting technique. He marveled at how Laura's nurturing words coaxed vibrant colors from Ava, filling her canvas with more than just paint, capturing the essence of hope and fresh beginnings. If someone had told him months ago that this bond would flourish, he would have scoffed at the idea. Yet here they were, building resilience one brush stroke at a time. In that moment, Ethan felt a profound sense of accomplishment, the kind that transcends traditional professional success. This transformation was rooted in the intimate realization that love exists in multifaceted forms. His heart swelled with pride, not just for his daughter but for the tenacity he had garnered, allowing himself to step through the painful threshold into the life he envisioned. However, growth often invites reflection, and doubt still slithered into his mind. Was he solving Ava's maternal void or merely postponing the processing of her grief? His heart battled with these questions as he finally took Ava out for a one-on-one dinner, a chance to evaluate her feelings without the presence of Laura. They settled down at their favorite burger joint, with a stack of fries in between them and their regular banter flowing easily. "Dad," Ava finally said, her fingers poking at a fry, "I want to talk about Laura." Ethan's breath caught, and self-doubt pricked sharply at the back of his mind. "Okay, what's on your mind?" he managed, trying to infuse his voice with confidence. "What if she gets all, mom-like? Or what if this fizzles out and I lose you? I just want to make sure it's real," she confessed candidly, the weight of her words resting on their shared space. This was the moment Ethan had been anticipating, both fearful and hopeful. He smiled softly, warmth radiating from within. "I can't promise you that this won't change things, Ava. I can promise to keep you in the conversation. Being honest about how we feel matters most." Ava studied him for a moment, measuring his sincerity. "Okay, I see that. I guess I just feel guilty for wanting you to be happy. I don't want to be the reason you don't, sweetie," Ethan said slowly, his heart swelling with compassion. "You're not the reason. You will always be my priority. But love comes in many forms, and embracing new connections doesn't diminish the past. It can grow into something beautiful." He was proud of the way he articulated those thoughts, a lesson learned through pain and persistence. Gaining Ava's trust felt like a sacred victory. As time progressed, Laura instilled nurturing warmth without disrupting the cadence Ethan and Ava had long established. Together, they celebrated birthdays, attended school functions, and shared memorable vacations. And through it all, Laura's presence was a reminder that love was not meant to emulate the impossible. It was about forging new, meaningful experiences. Months later, at an art exhibition showcasing Ava's newfound talent, the full tapestry of Ethan's transformation glowed brightly. Ava stood proudly at her painting, balancing childhood innocence and budding artistry, one that symbolized both her resilience and the healing power of love. Surrounded by vibrant two-dimensional manifestations of her feelings, Ethan couldn't help but feel an overwhelming wave of pride. He had transitioned from a solitary CEO to a confident father, capable of navigating his family's complexities while nurturing his own growth. As the event buzzed around him, Ethan caught Laura's eye across the gallery. She held a glass of sparkling cider, a new shimmer of happiness reflecting her comforting presence. They exchanged an understanding glance seasoned with unspoken promises and the dynamic connection they had woven together. Ethan's heart swelled with a sense of completion. He had conquered the silence of sorrow and embraced the collective chaos of love, a triumph achieved through vulnerability and courage, demonstrating that family and connection evolve through creativity and compassion. Stepping out onto the gallery's balcony, a fresh breath of crisp air enveloped him. He leaned against the railing, taking in the stars peppering the night sky, that made him ponder the landscape of his life, a once barren gulf, now rich with connection, love, and perhaps most importantly, relentless hope. From this moment forward, Ethan understood that this new reality didn't erase the past, it adorned it with the potential of a vibrant future, one promising an abundance of moments filled with warmth. Triumphs of the heart, bred from simplicity, moments without expectation, each a testament to true love's capacity to grow and transform even from the deepest wounds. It was then that he resolved to let these experiences illuminate the path forward. Embracing transitions was a victory he wouldn't shy away from. As you soak in this transformative story, take a moment to reflect on how you can embrace your own growth and change. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.